Hi strangers, if you're like me, you've eaten too much chocolate today, so now you're feeling all jittery and like something bad's about to happen and maybe the world's gonna catch on fire. Or you are a photographer who wants to talk about picking your images for your portfolio. If that sounds like you, we should talk. So this video was a suggestion by you guys. I think it's really helpful and I had a lot to say about it, so we're making that video today. Hopefully by now you've been able to watch the culling video that I did last year, but if not, I'll link it below and you can go ahead and go through that. That is the foundation for everything that I'm gonna be building on in this video. Everything from how I organize my catalog to how I flag and star. And it might be helpful to refresh yourself before we dive into all of that. But I'm gonna go ahead and split this video into two parts. First part is exactly what I'm looking for whenever I'm choosing my portfolio images. And the second part is going to be literally how I choose the images, like how I go into Lightroom, sorting through the flags and making collections, etc. So to start with, I'm gonna be a little bit of an ag. Updating your portfolio is important, and that is not my opinion. If you have the ability to turn on heat maps on the analytics on your site, you'll see that that is the first place that users go to whenever they come to your site. So it is really important and people are definitely clicking into it. And I know that it feels like the blog is really where you should spend a lot of your time and energy, and you should definitely be updating your blog. But new users coming to your website for the first time are going to your portfolio. So you want to make sure that it's doing the things that it should be doing. A successful portfolio does a lot of things. It shows how consistent you are. It has a variety of people and places in it to show your clients what you're capable of doing, images that they can project themselves into, and it gives our clients an idea of what we have the potential to do for them. That light just came on. Your portfolio will be slightly different from the images that you post on Instagram, I think, for the most part. If you want to know the best images to put on sort of like the front of your website to sort of entice people and get them to spend more time on your website, I definitely recommend spending a little bit of money on Planoly. You can get more advanced analytics and see what your most highly interacted images are. It's a really great way to see the images that you've taken that really resonated with people. Yes, my portfolio is going to be more than just images that did well on social media. That's not really the point. But I liked the images that I chose to put on social media, and knowing which ones do really well is going to help get people to come to my site. And what I really want to do is get people to come over to my site, and then once they're on their site, I want to point them to my portfolio, which is either going to get them excited and turn them on and make them want to book me, or turn them off. And yes, a good portfolio should be turning people off. The work that you put in your portfolio is not about pleasing everybody and showing them everything that you can do. The reality is that you can't and don't want to book everyone. So including images of like people looking really goofy might turn some people off, or having a shot of all the groomsmen mooning you might be a thing that you want to include in your portfolio. Maybe that's like fun for you, and that's going to really turn some people off, which is great. You definitely want to know who your audience is and include the images that made you really happy while you were shooting them. I think a portfolio is really unsuccessful when it doesn't do a good job of showing what it is that you do. If you don't do really experimental or weird photography, then having a portfolio that's mostly full of those images is not doing yourself or your clients a favor. In the same way that if you don't live in an area with like super tall redwoods, if your clients aren't all models, and if you aren't constantly getting your clients to go down to lakes, then you might be creating a really alienating portfolio that people aren't able to project their small wedding onto. And that's something to keep in mind. I think those images are really beautiful and they're really great for marketing and getting people to actually like show up and spend time on your website. But if your goal is to shoot locally and you don't live in those areas, you need to be showing those things in your portfolio. Show different types of people, different types of places. Just have a variety in there, but only show what makes you happy and makes you feel excited when you're doing it. I just think it's really important to be mindful of the things that make you really happy and incorporating a lot of variety, because if you're only showing 5 or 6 weddings in your portfolio, people notice. If you're only posting 3 or 4 weddings or shoots on social media regularly, people notice and they're just too polite to mention it. So variety is really key. I have something that you can do right now if you don't want to go through the process of choosing a bunch of images. Go to your portfolio and pick out your least favorite images and just delete them from your website. Any images that you'd rather not have a client book you based on. So if there are cake cutting pictures, a bunch of pictures of bridesmaids standing in matching robes, is there a picture of bridal party jumping and you don't necessarily want to do those images anymore? Do you have a picture of the makeup palette from getting ready pictures in your portfolio? Just delete that one right now. Don't even think about it. Just get rid of it. All you're doing by having these images in there, and I think you know the ones that I'm thinking of. Those few images that you're sort of on the fence about, but you felt like maybe you should include it anyway, just go ahead and delete them. They're not getting your clients excited. They aren't making you feel excited. And all you're doing is watering down all the amazing images that you already have in your portfolio. So just go ahead and delete those. You can add to it later, just delete them right now. So having said all that, my personal goals for my portfolio is to show the work that I have control over and the photos that I've taken that are sort of nice photojournalistic fine art representations of the more like emotive times of the day. So with very few exceptions, for the most part, my portfolio is portraits. Largely in part because I really like to attract couples that sort of put an emphasis on the photography on the wedding day. Like I want people that want to hire me because they want to make something together, and people that are willing to trust me to do something a little bit different for them. Having said that, I still shoot all the same things that everybody else shoots. So I really wanted to share these 8 images with you. And these are all images that I deliver to the clients. But on the left, you'll see images that I happily deliver, but probably wouldn't use for marketing or put in my portfolio. And corresponding with that, the same shoots, but the pictures on the right are the ones that I would use for marketing. For this one, this was a really lovely, glowing light day. And at this wedding, I mostly used the soft, pretty light to take soft, pretty family photos and a few of the couple. But whenever I found this pocket of light and I had the opportunity to create something more dramatic using that pocket of light, and my clients trusted me to do that, I loved it. This is the photo that I'm gonna show from that wedding day because this is what made me happy. This is a photo that I take all the time. This is the photo that was requested in her questionnaire with her bridesmaids. It's an important photo to her. It represents the fun morning that they spent together, but this is the one that I took that day that I'll show of the bridal party because it made me really happy to take. It was just a shot of them walking to this wall that had graffiti on it, but I ran back to take this photo anticipating that everything would sort of line up the way that I liked it. In this photo, I spent most of my time at this wedding in front of this arch taking group photos in a church basement with literally every single person that attended the wedding. But this is the photo that we took in maybe the 20 minutes that we had time to take portraits together. This is the photo that made me really happy. And this photo, I take photos like this of every single client at every single shoot multiple times. This photo matters and it's important, but the ones that I'm going to show speak to me on another level. So this photo just feels calm and pretty, and I really love the mood here. So this is going to be something that I'm going to want to post on social media. This is going to be the image that I'm more likely to share in my portfolio. These are sort of the bare minimum that I have to offer. This is just the job. There is an assumption that I can take photos that are properly exposed and in focus where everybody is smiling, but I want to be booked because of the art that I create. And that is what I want to show in my portfolio. I'm going to show photos that have a level of playfulness, of trust, a love of art, a feeling of calm, of intimacy, of humor, a unique way that I found to photograph a thing that happens at literally every single wedding, or anything that just sort of evokes this feeling of warmth. Because that is what love feels like to me. That is how I feel it's best depicted when I'm photographing it. Just love is, unique and warm and all that other crap. So I may not include just a standard sparkler exit in my wedding portfolio, but if it's raining, then I might. Or if they trip and they're laughing exceptionally hard, then I might. I rarely include pictures of 2 people smiling and looking at the camera. Even though I take those at every single wedding, that is not what I want to be hired for. I want people to hire me based on the images in my portfolio. So in my next Patreon post that I have planned, I'm going to be talking more about how I came up with sort of the personal list of things that I look for that I want to make sure I'm including in my portfolio, and sort of what looking for those images looks like visually. It's a good one. I'm excited. I'm going to give you guys some homework. But for now, we're going to talk about something really sexy. The logistics of going through a year's worth of images and updating your portfolio. It's hot. So again, it might be worth it for you to go back and watch the culling video before getting into this to refamiliarize yourself with the way that I organize my images in Lightroom and the flagging system that I use. I'll be brief describing it here. I basically already have a shit ton of images together from literally every single thing that I shot in the past year because of the culling video. So let's jump in. in. I am going to go up to all photographs so you can see how many images are in here. If I go to just raw files, I get that down to just over 200,000 images. So I took about 200,000 raw images in 2018. I delivered a little over 25,000. I did about 80 to 100 per engagement and family session. I did about 600 to 900 per wedding. And I do not want to go through 25,000 images. I don't. I love you, but I'm not. So what I can do is narrow it down to the images that I included in my slideshow, which you'll know from the culling video is all of my red flagged images. So if I go to my red flagged images, I'm just gonna click on metadata, select my JPEGs. So of all the slideshows that I've delivered this year, just shy of 10,000 images went into that. Of all of these images, my favorites, so anything that I really loved that I wanted to include in my portfolio or that I had printed, I marked as 5 stars. And having JPEGs and 5-star images turned on, we have gotten it down to 529 images to go through. And some of these may be duplicates because I deliver everything in color and in black and white, but I can just go through here, select the images that really resonate with me that I want to include in my portfolio that I was especially happy about, and maybe cross-reference these images with the ones that did really well on Instagram while I'm in Planoly. So maybe definitely include this mermaid picture, which I'm happy to do. And once I have the images selected that I would like to see all together, in library mode, I'm just going to go down to collections. I'm going to create a collection, call it portfolio. I'm not going to nest it in Smart Collections, but I am going to include the selected photos. I'm not going to make a new virtual copy. I am going to set as a target collection. And what that means, this is going to go ahead and open my portfolio. So this plus sign means that any image that I click on, or any set of images, if I've selected a few, if I hit B, it's going to go into this folder. So from here, I'm going to make these a little bit bigger using the plus sign. From here, I can say, oh, this is sort of a duplicate image. Hit B to get it out of there. I don't really need 2 on this wall, get rid of that. And I can go through these and make my selections based on that. I've already put together a small collection of some images that I really loved. And once I have all of these in a collection, I can select them all, go to export, and I'm probably gonna just export these to my desktop and sort of go from there. But what's cool is that I can actually resize them at this point to fit in my portfolio. So whatever your portfolio dimensions are, you don't have to do any extra work. Just make sure you change your resolution to 72 and everything will be good and you have your portfolio images all ready to go. If you haven't been flagging the same way that I have, I get it, it's a lot. Definitely watch the culling video and see why it's so beneficial. But I can show you on a smaller scale how this can still be helpful. I'm just gonna select all of my engagement sessions. So all of these E's I'm gonna change my settings up here. I'm gonna change my settings up here so I'm showing my photos in the subfolders. And then I'm gonna go back and select all of my engagement sessions. And this is going to show the RAW and JPEG images to start with. Here I have all of my engagement sessions selected. I'm gonna go to metadata. I'm gonna select my JPEGs because those are the ones that are delivered. Just looking at all of my engagement pictures that I've delivered, I've got 3,300. If I filter it by red, which red images aren't necessarily, these are great for portfolio, but I really like these and these are decisions that I'm making as I'm culling. And that gets me down to about 500 images. I don't do slideshows for my engagement session, but I do make it a habit of choosing at least 5 images from every shoot that I do to put on social media, and I always flag those as red. So I at least have every single session represented here. Again, I could cross-reference this with Planoly if I wanted to choose photos that were like big standouts on social media for marketing, but this is basically how I do it. And there you go. Thank you so much for your suggestion. That's something that I really wanted to talk about, so I was really glad that it was such a specific suggestion. Please keep them coming. If you would like for me to do a video taking into consideration like how I put these in my portfolio, sort of thinking about the flow and making sure that you're keeping attention without being jarring, then we can talk about that. And we can talk about blog posts. We can talk more specifically about what I look for when I'm culling as far as like composition, lighting. Just let me know what you want to hear. And thank you so much for backing me on Patreon. With your help, I was able to purchase tripods, so I'm no longer sharing with Sam. So I really appreciate it. I also ordered a bunch of prints for the portfolio post that I'm doing next. which is gonna be sort of like part 2 of this, which I'm excited about. And I just wanted to thank you guys so much for all the comments that you leave me. I feel like you guys are super smart, and a lot of us do like very similar things with our business and the way that we sort of organize things. So I pick up things from you all the time, and I really appreciate it. So if you don't read the comments, definitely read the comments. It's 100% troll free. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a lot out of this, and I'm excited to see your portfolios get updated, which is either going to get them excited and turn them on and make them want to book me, or turn them off.